if you're out there trying to please everyone, you're running a race that's going to wear you out.
Please no one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Earhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today I have Ed Waters, and me and Ed actually just did a podcast recording on his podcast just a couple of days ago. So now we're going to do one on mine. So how cool is that? So Ed, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name's Ed Waters. I come from a background that isn't pleasant, and I've been through a lot of suffering and heartache and, a lot of depression. Went through a lot of physical pain because of injuries. And bottom line, I felt like I was lost and I was dead here in America. And therefore, I started the journey to discover why. And that brought me to podcasting. And it really changed my life. And I've developed a skill now that I can take forward and help me help others as I help myself. So I find that truly inspiring and awakening at the same time.
Yep, I agree, and it's so cool because we all have an amazing, unique story, and whenever we do something like start a business or anything like that, it usually is because we went through something very difficult and we wanted a way out. And that way out often leads us to what we're passionate about. For you and me, we love podcasting. And I know exactly what you're talking about because, I started my podcast 11 weeks ago now. And the people I've met since then is just incredible. And I get to learn so much from my guests. And whenever I'm a guest on somebody else's, I also learn a lot, especially on how to, run an episode really good. I know the other day, I learned a few things from you. So thank you for that.
That's what it's about, Nick, and that's why I do it. We learn from each other, we inspire each other, and with that inspiration and that guidance from others, we learn to be better people. And that's really what podcasting has truly brought in my life. And it's changed not only my life, but my wife's life. And I keep on inspiring others to walk a different life because we all go through those heartaches and it's humbling to change ourselves. And sometimes it's very difficult. But if you dive in and one step at a time, that's all it takes. If you're having difficulty on a step, reach out to somebody and try to make it easier on yourself. This is not a tag team match in podcasting. This is really about a growth for everyone and inspiring the whole group. Because once we inspire the group, then we can inspire the world. Because there's no bickering inside of the podcasting space, per se. And that's truly my mission, is to change the headspace of every podcaster. Believe in yourself. Don't want to believe in somebody else, because that's a different dream. Follow your passion and dig deep in and learn how to edit your podcast, how to produce the whole episode yourself. And it doesn't have to happen overnight. There's so many technological advances that help us nowadays with podcasting. It's incredible. You were saying the system that you use is pretty simple, and that's great,
Yeah.
And it's inspiring when we can get in and share our stories. But the best part is, like you stated earlier here, I get to learn from people like you, and that helps me grow, because I find what Nick does
Mhm.
is very inspiring. And if we all show up, not just show off, well, we can all change the world together.
Yeah, I agree. And be truthful and open about who you are. That's something that I'm like doing more of nowadays. It's like it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like a lot of people you see on the internet, they just look like their life is perfect and they have it all figured out. And trust me, nobody has it all figured out. We're all just messing up and figuring it out along the way. So, but I love podcasting so much because I'm growing as a person because of it. You know, if you look at me 2 years ago, I wouldn't be doing this. I never got on camera. I never recorded myself. I got nervous talking to people that I don't know, and I would stutter like no other. Like I would just not be able to get a word out if I was talking to someone I didn't know. And now you can see, I don't have that problem a whole lot. I still stutter here and there, but I'm just more comfortable in who I am. It's not even about like me, you know, being okay, being comfortable talking to people I don't know anymore. It's because I'm comfortable and confident in myself. And I think podcasting really helps a lot of people become more confident in themselves. Do you agree with that?
I would totally agree with that. Discomfort, that's what makes us grow. When we find the discomfort
Yeah.
and we can harness the power and the energy that it creates, instead of letting that energy disrupt us, we need to learn to harness that and ride the wave to success. Because it's easy
Mm-hmm.
once you understand we're all in the same boat together. And if one of us drowned, that means there's one less person to row the boat. And we have to really identify who we are inside and this inspiration. And it really comes down to emotional intelligence. Once we develop
Yeah.
our emotional intelligence, we can identify easier with other people. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was very difficult for me to have a conversation with somebody else, because when I started podcasting, I was mad. I was downright ticked off, and I was ready to argue and really display, excuse me, display who I was openly, but in the wrong
Mm-hmm.
way. And that matters. When we show up, we have to show up in the right way. I suffer from chronic pain,
Yeah.
and sometimes that really does mess with your judgment. So you have to realize that if you're suffering with one of these ailments that might make you irritable or feel discomfort in many ways. So I really
Mm-hmm.
had to shift my mindset about it's not only about how I feel. Yes, I feel terrible most of the time, but there's joy in life. And once I figured that out,
Yep.
I started going out into my yard and really looking at the beauty, discovering new things without technology or people, because it's very important to love ourselves before we can help anyone, even ourselves. So if we're not loving ourselves in the right way, we can't help anyone. So my journey through that discovery process was very difficult and very trying. I went through several podcasts because people didn't like me. I was very upfront in the wrong way, and I was sharp and bitter, and what I figured out through all of that is I'm not alone. There's so many going through these same feelings dead in America.
Yep.
Why should we feel dead in America? We have so many opportunities and so many people willing to inspire us and to lift us up. And it's not really people need a hand out. They really need a hand up. And that's what I'm trying to
Yep.
figure out how to accomplish. And it's a rough, tough journey, as you know. You've got to talk it and walk it and mean it.
Yep, and you gotta keep doing it. You know, you
Yep.
gotta stay consistent with it. And I do want to touch on something that you talked about, and that is love yourself first. And I think that's so important because a lot of times, you know, this goes along with, you know, help yourself first, which is something that I talk about a lot. And it's so important. You know, I mean, just think about when you get on an airplane, they always tell you put your face mask on first before you help somebody else. It's the same thing with your life and your happiness and your health, everything. So when you learn to love yourself and learn to help yourself first, you will show up better for the people that you want to help. But if you're falling apart, you're not really going to help anyone. So I just think it's so important to focus on yourself, start improving yourself, and then the cool thing about it is when you start doing that, the people you care about just start to follow. They start to do the things that you're doing because they see you transform into a better person. And then they just kind of start following along. So then you're not even like really like forcing to help them. It's just happening on its own. So I think that's just so important.
Yeah. You know, and another thing, a lot of people, they concentrate on quantity instead of quality. And if we concentrate on quality first, your quantity will gain in a more meaningful and a more stable way. So if we really focus our energy where it needs to be and not worry about the next step per se, and how many, like in our case, how many listens we get, how fast we grow, because these measuring devices will distract us from our ultimate love and passion. So we really have to worry about if I had, let's say, 90 people in my little office space right here, they wouldn't fit. And, you know, there's more than 90 people that follow me. But, you know, if you had them all in one room, you would just be amazed at how many people you actually have touched and interacted with. And this is part of development, like you talked about. When we actually open ourselves with authentic, you know, showing up, being authentic. Authenticity means everything, and people can really smell it. And I've discovered if you're out there trying to please everyone, you're running a race that's going to wear you out.
Please no one.
Exactly. So worry about pleasing yourself and loving yourself, and those that really look upon and hear, well, they'll start following you, and pretty soon you've got so many people that I can't keep up with the stuff on Facebook and Twitter, and you know, I've got a life, as you probably do too. So as we develop our social followings, we've got to remember that's a lot of work. And I'm at I'm at the point where I'm thinking I need a team now. And this is just to handle all of that social media, because each and every one of those people are very important. And I've looked at, augmenting myself with AI, with these chatbot. When somebody comments, they auto comment back. And I really don't like that because it's disingenuous. So relating that to your listeners, that, hey, if you really want to get personal, you've got to reach out at the email level. And then we can actually discuss something in a realistic term, because so many people on Facebook and Twitter, you don't know if they're real people, if they're bots or what. So developing ourselves is not only for us, it's for everyone that follows us. And once we get into this and start doing it, we discover, well, this is for those people first. And that makes you show up.
Yeah, it really does. Because look, every morning I wake up with the intent to help at least one person every day. And as you know, I post a lot on social media. It's 2 to 5 videos at least a day, other posts here and there. And my reach is strong. I reach hundreds of thousands of people every month. And you are right. It's a lot of work, and we have to, be aware of it when we're, getting started. Because, now I've got hundreds of comments, and I'm the type where I read every comment, I like every comment, and I respond to a lot of them. I'm not going to respond to all of them, but I do like and comment on a lot of them. But it's just, it is getting to the point where it's like, I'm gonna have to hire someone. But I agree with you on social media. I don't want AI to handle that for me. That's not what I want, because I want it to be a person, because I'm here to help people.
Yeah.
So I want my people to be out there helping people. I may not be the one actually commenting or sending you a message, but it will be somebody within my organization that will be. Because then, if you move, on with us, if you become a client or whatever, then you're going to, get to me and get to everybody that can help you. So yeah, I agree. I don't think I want AI to do that side of my business. But AI is nice. I do use it, and it definitely helps me out and saves me time, gives me a lot of ideas. That's what I like. It's like, if I need an idea for a video, it's like, type into chat GPT, and then it gives me an idea. So yeah, it's really helpful.
Yeah. The main reason I use AI is basically for my show notes, and they are also very good at framing a good tweet or a good Facebook post. So these automated posts are very good. But the thing with AI, no matter what type of AI you use, you always have to fact check that AI, because it's very important that people realize, if you don't know what you're putting out and just slapping it out without doing a human centric type check, you could be putting out some stuff that is kind of goofy, and you don't want to rush it. You want to actually take care of your product, because your product represents your brand. And I've learned to really slow down, because I'm dyslexic, and I'll mean to put in one word or say a word, and something totally different comes out. So, there's
Yep.
those reasons I find a need to fact check AI for sure.
Yep. I agree. I agree. Everything that I do is like I read it. So I make sure we're good to go.
Yep.
So let's talk about your podcast. Can you tell the audience what it is and what it's about?
My podcast is the Dead America Podcast, and you can find it on all of the podcast catchers. And it's really about inspiration and education and learning how to become a better person through your walk, your journey. And that really entails a lot of mental health. I'm a variety show.
Yeah.
I talk with anyone because I found out everyone has a story, and it's up to the host to really dig in and get the best out of the individual. And once you can find out how to inspire the storyteller in each of us, you have inspired the world. And that's really what the Dead America podcast has become. It's about inspiring others not to allow ourselves to negative self-talk and think negative thoughts about ourselves. And, there's this thing about everyone saying, well, why me? And it's called imposter syndrome. What do I have to offer on a podcast? You have your whole life journey. And once you learn that, you can inspire others not only to overcome, but you become a bridge builder for the next generation. Because if they sit here and listen to this podcast, then they might find something inspirational and educational to transition them across that bridge. And they don't have to go through the canyon and back up the other side before they get to the other side. You built that bridge and you've inspired somebody to cross it. That's what podcasting is about.
Yep, I agree. And I want to touch on, you talked about imposter syndrome. Now, this is something we've all felt at some point. And what's cool is just yesterday, I was listening to a podcast. It's on my favorite podcast called the Mindset Mentor by Rob Dial. And Rob actually had Mel Robbins on, which was really cool. And Mel talked about the imposter syndrome and how we need to, number one, stop telling ourselves that we are, imposters. Don't say I have imposter syndrome. She made a good point. She said, "You are not an imposter. You're a beginner. You're learning. You're figuring it out."
Like that.
And that really hit home with me. I was like, yeah, that's it. Like, I'm beginning. I'm learning. I'm doing something new. I'm figuring it out. I'm not an imposter. I'm just new and getting going. So yeah, that really touched me yesterday. So when you started talking about it, I was like, oh, I gotta touch on that.
Yeah, it's very important for people to realize. When I first started podcasting, I didn't like my voice. It sounded ugly to me. So I went and purchased software with music so I could put betting track in my podcast. So I felt comfortable about listening to my own voice. And this is part of that imposter syndrome that we have to avoid. Your voice sounds just like you. And if Nick is listening to me, well, I have a lot of people that listen to me. They never say my voice is funny. They actually listen
Mm-hmm.
because it's part of communication. So it's funny when
Yeah.
we listen to ourselves, and we have to remember to stay out of that mindset because we program
Yep.
ourselves to be negative. It's a
Mm-hmm.
mechanism that is there to protect us, and it tells us shut it off, shut it off, before you get
Mm-hmm.
hurt. Somebody's gonna hurt your feelings.
Yep.
That's all right. Hurt my feelings.
Yep.
It's a great thing to learn. And once somebody hurts my feelings, I can actually build my emotional intelligence level and have that skin, per se, to actually spread my salt
Yep.
and my light to the earth, because that's what it's about.
Mm.
If you're not focused on who you are and what you have to offer, your message will never go forward because you're always telling yourself to shut yourself off because you don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
hurt. That's wrong.
Yep.
You have
Yep.
to own up to yourself. You have a fabulous gift, and once you find out how
Mm-hmm.
to use it properly,
Mm-hmm.
it's powerful. And what that
It
takes
really is.
is stepping into it, becoming it, and walking it
Mm-hmm.
each day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
Mm-hmm.
anything you do, you have to learn about it and grow in it.
Yep.
And once you find the
Yep.
comfort in it, boy, you become a rock star like fast. And that's
Yep.
really why I like podcasting, is because it does have people there to help you along the way. And that's part
Oh
of
yeah.
that. They'll help you with that imposter syndrome by showing up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And like everything you just said, I kept thinking, you're talking about people's purpose, like we all have a purpose, and some of us don't know what our purpose is. I didn't know what mine was until about a year ago, a year and a half ago. I had no idea, but I knew there was more to life. I knew that I could be something. So one thing I want to tell the audience is, if you don't know what your purpose is, you should wake up every morning with the intent to find your purpose every single day. Because once you find it, once you figure it out and see what you can do, your whole life is going to change just like that.
That's
Because
right.
once you have a purpose, it's so much easier to get up in the morning. It's so much easier to get work done. It's so much easier to strive towards your goals. So I just think that's very important.
Yeah, and really you have to understand it takes time. And that goes back to
It does.
loving ourselves. And that's sometimes hard to
Mm-hmm.
do, but it's really give yourself a hug
Yep.
and kiss, because you're beautiful and you can inspire
Yep.
people. Your power is
Yep.
endless. So we really have to discover ourselves so other people know who we are. Once we discover
And
ourselves, it's powerful.
yeah, and like everything we're talking about, you can find books on it, you can find research on it. Like, one thing that I know is, like, you want to, like, when you talk about loving yourself, you want to get that into your subconscious, because that's where a lot of the negativity happens.
Yep.
And one thing that works good for really helping yourself love yourself, that sounds kind of weird. Helping yourself love yourself.
Yep.
But one thing that I know works, and I know there's research on why, but I don't know all of it, but I have done it, and it helps. Look in a mirror and just tell yourself, I love you, like over and over and over, like 10, 20, 30 times in a row. Do that for like a week straight every day, and you'll see an improvement.
Yes. And once you learn to positive self-talk and learn
Yeah.
learn to focus on the positivity in everything. I mean, you can look
Yep.
back at even your nastiest times in life, and
Mm-hmm.
the positive thing about it is you're here today. You made it through that. And you can actually
Yep.
look back on that now, and you can be inspired by just achieving the impossible that you thought you were at that time.
Yeah.
And you discover, it's just a phase in life. And another thing,
Mm-hmm.
Nick, when we talk about purpose and even passion,
Mm-hmm.
as we age and we go through the stages of life, that shifts and that changes. A passion or
Yep.
a
It does.
purpose might fade away, but when one fades away,
Mm-hmm.
there's another opportunity waiting for your passion to develop. And that's why lifelong learning is very important for everyone. And once we discover,
Yep.
I'm not smart, and that's part of the reason I do a podcast.
Me either.
I like to have
Mm-hmm.
smart people on, and then I can learn from them. And then
Yep. Same.
I have a little bit of understanding after several hundred interviews with very intelligent people. Some of that starts to rub off on you, and that's part of this discovery process. Put yourself in the place you want to be. Nobody else is going to do it.
Yep. Nobody's coming to save you.
That's
so just
right.
Get up, put the work in, and get stuff done.
Yeah, you're not Santa Claus. You're not getting the free cookies and the milk.
Exactly. Yep. All right, so the question I ask all of my guests is, my slogan is, your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
That really means inspiring yourself and really digging into what you love. And that might shift, but find people that inspire you. And this brings infinite possibilities, because once you open up that can of people, you never know who you're going to meet and where your voice is going to flow to. So that discovery process of just stepping into it is where you'll find all of the possibilities you've ever dreamed about. Take that first step. That's what infinite possibilities mean to me.
I love that. Absolutely amazing. All right, so where can people reach you and find you?
deadamerica.website. You can find most of the things that we do.
Awesome.
We also are in the process of putting together a podcast, like, what do you call it? Where you bring a network. Excuse me for the brain shuffle there, but we are starting a podcast network, and we're actively out there trying to make it possible for others to ride this infinite possibility of podcasting.
Love it. I love it. I'm also helping people start and grow a podcast, so that's awesome. I know how important it is, and I love the podcast community because we're not a competition. We all get along, and we all help each other. I love it. Like a lot of industries out there, they're all like fighting each other. and then we're over here like, hey, you want to come on my show? You know, like we're just
That's right.
all out there to help and help other people. So yeah,
Inspiration.
I think it's awesome. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. It was really, really awesome.
Nick, it's always a great opportunity to have the opportunity to come on a show like yours and share my opportunity. My availability is always open to podcasters, and you're an outstanding person out there inspiring people like me.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Earhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.